The rain hammered against the cracked pavement of New Geneva's outer district, where the old Earth Quarter met the sprawling alien residential zones. Thunder rolled across the sky like the growl of some ancient beast, drowning out the usual hum of hover traffic from the upper city levels. In this forgotten corner of humanity's first interstellar colony, most people had learned to stay indoors when the storms came. But Max hadn't learned that lesson. The massive German shepherd moved through the downpour with purpose, his enhanced cybernetic collar glowing softly blue against his dark fur. His nose, genetically modified to detect chemical signatures across multiple atmospheric compositions, had caught something that made every instinct scream, danger. The scent trail led him through twisted alleys where Earth-born architecture crumbled against the alien crystal, growths that naturally formed in New Geneva's unique soil. His powerful legs carried him past abandoned buildings that humans had tried to adapt for this world, only to discover that some places weren't meant for their kind. 3 blocks from the main medical center, Max found her. The girl couldn't have been more than 8 years old, lying unconscious in a pool of water mixed with something that definitely wasn't rain. Her skin had the pale, almost translucent quality that came from growing up under New Geneva's filtered sunlight. But there was something else wrong. Her breathing came in short, desperate gasps, and strange blue veins were visible beneath her skin, pulsing with a faint luminescence. Max approached carefully, his enhanced senses cataloging every detail. The air around the girl shimmered with energy signatures his collar's sensors had never encountered before. Whatever had happened to her, it wasn't natural. Not by Earth standards, and not by New Geneva standards either. The dog's training kicked in immediately. His handler, Sergeant Rodriguez, had drilled the emergency protocols into him hundreds of times during their service together in the Colonial Defense Force. But Rodriguez was 3 systems away now, deployed on a mining world where human-alien tensions were reaching a breaking point. Max was officially retired, living with the Chen family in the civilian sector, but some instincts never fade. Gently, more gently than anyone might expect from a 100-pound military dog, Max slipped his massive head under the girl's unconscious form. His reinforced spine and enhanced musculature, modifications designed for combat operations on worlds with higher gravity, made lifting her small frame effortless. She draped across his back like a rag doll, her dark hair streaming water onto his fur. The medical center was a full kilometer away through streets that would challenge even the hover ambulances in this weather. But Max had carried wounded soldiers through worse terrain under enemy fire. He could do this. As he began to move, the girl stirred slightly, mumbling words in a language Max's translation implants couldn't identify. That was concerning. His collar contained linguistic data for over 300 human dialects and 47 alien languages commonly used in the sector. Whatever she was speaking, it was something new. The rain seemed to intensify as Max picked up his pace, each step carefully calculated to avoid jostling his precious cargo. His paws found purchase on surfaces that would have sent vehicles sliding, while his enhanced reflexes adjusted his balance automatically. Behind them, the puddle where he'd found the girl began to emit a soft, otherworldly glow. Halfway to the medical center, Max encountered his first real obstacle. A group of Zentari, tall insectoid aliens who made up about 30% of New Geneva's population, had taken shelter under a broken overpass. They chittered nervously as the dog approached, their compound eyes reflecting the blue glow from his collar. Max had worked alongside Zentari soldiers during the war. He knew their body language, knew that the rapid clicking sounds they were making indicated extreme agitation. But he also knew they were fundamentally peaceful beings who had been humanity's allies for over 50 years. The largest Zentari, his carapace marked with the geometric patterns of a senior citizen, stepped forward. His translation device crackled to life in accented standard. K9 unit, the small human carries dangerous energy signature. Recommend immediate isolation protocol. Max paused, processing this information. His sensors were detecting the same anomalous readings, but his programming was clear. Preserve human life above all other considerations. He looked directly at the Zentari elder and barked once, a sharp, authoritative sound that the alien's translator couldn't interpret, but somehow understood anyway. The Zentari stepped aside. As Max continued his journey, more beings began to notice his passage. A group of human teenagers, their skin marked with the luminescent tattoos that were popular among colonial youth, stopped their conversation to stare. An elderly human woman emerged from her shop, hand pressed to her heart as she watched the dog carrying his burden through the storm. Word began to spread through the district's communication networks, both electronic and organic. The Zentari had an almost telepathic ability to share information quickly within their community, and soon every member of their species in the area knew about the K9 unit and his strange cargo. By the time Max reached the medical center's emergency entrance, a small crowd had gathered despite the rain. The automatic doors sensed his approach and slid open with a soft hiss, revealing the sterile, climate-controlled environment within. Dr. Sarah Kim was the first to see them, the massive dog with his military bearing, carrying a child whose skin pulsed with unnatural light. Her training as a xenobiologist had prepared her for many strange things in colonial medicine, but this was something entirely new. Security, she called, not out of fear but out of protocol. "I need a trauma team to Emergency Bay 3, and I need it now." Max padded into the medical center, his claws clicking against the polished floor. Every step was measured, every movement designed to keep the girl as stable as possible. His enhanced vision automatically adjusted to the artificial lighting, and his collar's sensors immediately began interfacing with the hospital's diagnostic systems. The girl's pulse was weak but steady. Her breathing had stabilized somewhat during the journey, though the blue veins beneath her skin continued their mysterious pulsing. As Max carefully lowered her onto the emergency gurney that Dr. Kim had positioned, the child's eyes fluttered open for just a moment. In that brief instant, her gaze met Max's, and something passed between them. A connection that transcended species, a moment of understanding that would change everything. Then her eyes closed again, and the medical team took over, their instruments beeping and whirring as they began their assessment. Max stood back, water still dripping from his fur, and watched the humans work to save one of their own. None of them knew yet that this girl would become the key to humanity's greatest challenge and its most incredible triumph among the stars. Dr. Sarah Kim had seen plenty of unusual cases during her 15 years at New Geneva Medical Center, but nothing had prepared her for this. The girl lying on the emergency table appeared, human in every way except for the intricate network of bioluminescent veins that pulsed beneath her skin like a living constellation map. "Get me a full spectrum scanner," she ordered, pulling on her gloves. "And I want containment protocols ready just in case." The medical team moved with practiced efficiency around the small form. Nurse Martinez attached monitoring devices while Dr. Patel, the hospital's chief xenobiologist, arrived with a portable analysis unit that looked more like a small spacecraft than medical equipment. "What do we know about her?" Dr. Patel asked, his eyes immediately drawn to the blue glow emanating from the child. "Nothing yet," Sarah replied, checking the readouts. "Found by the K9 unit in the outer district. No identification, no emergency contacts in the system." Max remained exactly where the medical team had positioned him, close enough to observe, but far enough to stay out of their way. His enhanced hearing picked up every word, every beep of the machines, every whispered concern. His cybernetic collar continued recording everything, as per his original military programming. The girl's vital signs were stable but completely outside normal human parameters. Her heart rate was slower than it should be. Her brain activity showed patterns that didn't match any known human neural signatures, and her blood oxygen levels were impossibly high. "Dr. Kim," called Technician Lopez from the scanner station, "you need to see this." The holographic display showed a three-dimensional image of the girl's body, but it wasn't entirely human anatomy. Her circulatory system had been completely rewritten, with additional vessels that seemed to carry something other than blood. Her bone density was twice what it should be for her size, and there were completely new organs nestled between her familiar human ones. "This is impossible," Dr. Patel whispered. "These modifications would take decades of genetic engineering, and the precision required." He trailed off, studying the scans more closely. Sarah felt a chill that had nothing to do with the medical center's climate control. Could this be some kind of alien experiment? Before Dr. Patel could answer, alarms began blaring throughout the emergency bay. The containment fields around the examination table had activated automatically, creating a shimmering barrier between the girl and the rest of the room. "Energy spike detected," announced the computer's calm voice. Unknown radiation signatures increasing exponentially. The blue glow beneath the girl's skin suddenly intensified, and the monitoring equipment began registering impossible readings. Max's collar sensors went into overdrive, displaying warning symbols that scrolled too fast for human eyes to follow. "Everyone back," Sarah ordered. But Max took a step forward instead. The dog's enhanced senses were detecting something the medical instruments couldn't measure. Patterns in the energy emanations that suggested intelligence, purpose, communication. His military training included protocols for dealing with unknown alien technologies, and every instinct told him this wasn't a weapon or a threat. It was something else entirely. The girl's eyes opened again, but this time they glowed with the same blue light as her veins. When she spoke, her voice carried harmonics that seemed to resonate through the very structure of the building. "The convergence has begun," she said, her words somehow audible despite the containment field. "The paths between worlds grow thin." Dr. Kim's hand moved toward the emergency sedation controls, but Max barked once, a sharp warning that made everyone freeze. The dog moved closer to the containment field, his body language indicating he wanted to communicate something important. "Let him approach," said a new voice from the emergency bay entrance. Everyone turned to see Admiral Chen, the colony's highest-ranking military officer, striding into the room with her usual commanding presence. Her expression was grim, and she was followed by a team of specialists whose uniforms bore insignia that Sarah didn't recognize. "Admiral," Dr. Kim began, "we have a situation here that requires immediate medical attention." "Doctor, what you have here is classified beyond your clearance level," Admiral Chen interrupted. "I need everyone except essential medical personnel to clear this bay immediately." "I'm not moving," Sarah said firmly. "This child is my patient and I won't abandon her." Admiral Chen studied the young doctor for a moment, then nodded approvingly. "Very well. Dr. Patel, you stay as well. Everyone else out. And seal the bay." As the room cleared, Max remained by the containment field. Admiral Chen looked at the dog with an expression of recognition and respect. "Hello, Max," she said quietly. "Good boy. Very good boy." The German shepherd's tail wagged once, a brief acknowledgement between old comrades. Admiral Chen had been a colonel when Max was on active duty, and she had personally signed off on many of his decorations. "Admiral," Dr. Kim said, "I need to know what's happening here. This girl's physiology is completely impossible. And now you're treating this like some kind of military operation." Admiral Chen approached the containment field, studying the glowing child with eyes that had seen too many impossible things during humanity's expansion into the galaxy. "Her name is Luna Vasquez," the Admiral said finally. "She disappeared 3 weeks ago from the archaeological site in Sector 7. We've been looking for her ever since." "Archaeological site?" Dr. Patel interjected. "You mean the ruins?" "Not ruins, Doctor. Active alien technology. Technology that we've been studying very carefully because it appears to be some kind of communication array, a beacon, sending signals to unknown destinations across the galaxy." The implications hit Sarah like a physical blow. And this child was exposed to it? "Not just exposed," Admiral Chen said grimly. "According to our readings, she was chosen by it. The technology integrated with her biological systems, turning her into something unprecedented, a human-alien hybrid capable of bridging the gap between our species and whoever built that beacon." Luna's glowing eyes focused on Admiral Chen, and when she spoke again, her voice carried the weight of vast knowledge. "The architects are coming," she said. "They have heard the call. They want to meet those who found their gift." Max's ears perked up at the word. Architects. His military databases contained references to that term, an unknown alien. Species mentioned in scattered reports from the frontier worlds, always associated with abandoned technology of incredible sophistication. "When?" Admiral Chen asked the girl directly. "Soon," Luna replied. "They travel between the spaces where reality bends. But they are ancient and careful. They will test before they reveal themselves." Dr. Kim looked between the Admiral and the impossible child on her examination table. "Test how?" Luna's glow intensified, and suddenly every screen in the medical bay displayed the same image, star charts showing ships approaching New Geneva from directions that didn't match any known stellar cartography. "They will send challenges," Luna explained. "Tasks to prove humanity worthy of their knowledge. And if we fail," she didn't need to finish the sentence, Everyone in the room understood the implications of first contact with a species advanced enough to modify human biology with such precision. Max moved closer to the containment field again, his enhanced senses detecting new energy patterns. Something was changing, and whatever happened next would test everything humanity thought it knew about its place among the stars. Admiral Chen activated her personal communicator, and the room filled with a holographic display showing the archaeological site in Sector 7. What had once been dismissed as natural crystal formations now revealed itself as a vast, underground complex of interconnected chambers, each one humming with barely contained energy. Luna Vasquez, age 8, daughter of Dr. Maria Vasquez. Our lead xenoarchaeologist, Admiral Chen, began, her voice carrying the weight of personal loss. 3 weeks ago, Maria was leading a routine survey of the newly discovered sections when something changed in the alien structure. The hologram shifted to show recorded footage from the expedition. Dr. Kim watched as a woman who clearly shared Luna's features led a team of scientists through corridors that seemed to pulse with their own heartbeat. The walls were covered in symbols that shifted and changed when viewed directly, defying human attempts to record or understand them. The technology responded to human presence, Admiral Chen continued. But not just any human presence. It was specifically responding to children. Every time an adult approached the central chamber, the energy readings remained stable. But when Luna wandered away from the group, the footage showed a small figure moving deeper into the complex, drawn by something only she could sense. The symbols on the walls began to glow brighter as she passed, and the very air seemed to shimmer with potential. We lost contact with the expedition team for 72 hours, Admiral Chen said. When our rescue teams finally reached them, they found everyone unconscious except Luna. She was standing in the center of the main chamber, surrounded by active alien technology that was somehow feeding energy directly into her nervous system. Max's enhanced hearing detected the slight tremor in Admiral Chen's voice, the emotion she was trying to hide behind military protocol. He had seen that same control during combat situations where officers had to make impossible decisions about their people. Dr. Patel studied the medical readings streaming from Luna's containment field. The integration is remarkable. It's not just technological enhancement. Her DNA has been rewritten at the quantum level. She's become something entirely new while remaining essentially human. That's what makes this so significant, Admiral Chen replied. Every previous contact with architect technology has resulted in complete transformation. Beings that were no longer recognizable as their original species. But Luna retained her humanity while gaining capabilities that shouldn't be possible. On the examination table, Luna stirred again. The blue glow beneath her skin pulsed in rhythm with something that resonated beyond normal perception. When she spoke, her voice carried harmonics that seemed to come from the structure of the medical center itself. "Mama tried to protect me," she said, her words heavy with memory. When the chamber activated, she threw herself between me and the energy field. But the architect's gift was meant for me. It had been waiting, Dr. Kim asked gently. Waiting for what? Luna's glowing eyes fixed on the doctor with an intensity that was both childlike and ancient. Waiting for someone young enough to change, old enough to understand. Waiting for a bridge between what humanity is and what it could become. The holographic display shifted again, showing star charts that none of them recognized. Systems and galaxies mapped with a precision that indicated observation spanning millions of years, with notation markers that suggested ongoing surveillance of developing civilizations. The architects have been watching us, Luna continued. Not just humanity, but hundreds of species across the galaxy. They guide evolution, nudge development, prepare younger races for the challenges that await in the deep cosmos. Admiral Chen leaned forward. What kind of challenges? The Void Hunters, Luna whispered, and every piece of electronic equipment in the room flickered as if responding to something beyond their sensors. Ancient things that consume entire civilizations, leaving nothing behind but empty space. The architects have fought them for eons, but the war is not going well. Max's military conditioning recognized a tactical briefing when he heard one. His enhanced memory systems were automatically cataloging every detail, cross-referencing with military databases that contained classified information about unexplained disappearances in the outer systems. That's why they need us, Luna said, her child's voice carrying the weight of cosmic responsibility. Humanity has something the other races lack, something that makes us dangerous to the void hunters. What? Dr. Kim asked, though part of her already suspected the answer. Stubbornness. Luna said with a smile that was pure 8-year-old girl. Humans don't give up, ever. Even when logic says there's no hope. Even when every tactical analysis shows defeat is certain, humans find a way to keep fighting. Admiral Chen felt a surge of pride mixed with terror. It was the kind of assessment that made humanity both admirable and potentially catastrophic for galactic peace. The architects tested this theory. Luna continued. They examined our history, our wars, our responses to extinction-level events. Every time humans chose to fight rather than accept defeat, even when fighting seemed pointless. The medical monitors began displaying new readings as Luna's physiology shifted again. Her enhanced biology was adapting in real time, preparing for something that her human consciousness might not even understand yet. They want to offer us a choice, she said. Join their alliance as equals, share their technology, learn their methods for fighting the void hunters. But first, we have to prove we can handle the responsibility that comes with such power. The tests you mentioned, Admiral Chen said. When do they begin? Luna's expression became distant, as if she was listening to voices only she could hear. They've already begun. Ships are moving toward New Geneva from the deep galaxy. Not architect ships. These are automated systems designed to evaluate military capability, technological adaptation, and moral character under extreme pressure. Dr. Patel looked up from his analysis station. How much time do we have? 6 days, Luna replied. 6 days to prepare our defenses, organize our response, and decide whether humanity is ready to take its place among the guardian species of the galaxy. Max moved closer to the containment field again, his enhanced senses detecting new energy patterns emanating from Luna's transformed physiology. Something in his military programming was responding to the tactical situation, analyzing threat vectors and defensive options with the cold precision of a combat AI. But there was something else, something in the way Luna looked at him that suggested the choice wouldn't be made by politicians or generals. It would be made by individuals who understood what it meant to protect those who couldn't protect themselves. There's something else, Admiral Chen said, her voice dropping to a whisper. The archaeological team, Dr. Vasquez and her people. They're not just unconscious, are they? Luna's glow dimmed slightly, and for a moment she looked like nothing more than a frightened child missing her mother. Mama is alive, she said quietly, but she's changing too, just more slowly. The architect technology is still working on her, preparing her for a different role. When the tests are complete, when humanity proves itself worthy, she'll become something new, a guardian of the knowledge that will keep our species safe. The room fell silent except for the hum of medical equipment and the subtle vibration that seemed to emanate from Luna herself. Everyone present understood that they were witnessing the beginning of humanity's greatest transformation. Not just technological, but evolutionary. Max's tail wagged once, a simple gesture that somehow conveyed absolute loyalty and readiness for whatever came next. In that moment, he embodied everything the architects had observed about humanity. The refusal to abandon those in need, the willingness to face impossible odds, and the unshakable belief that tomorrow could be better than today. The tests were coming, but humanity wouldn't face them alone. They would have allies, both artificial and organic, both human and enhanced, who understood that some things were worth fighting for, no matter the cost. As Luna drifted into a medically induced rest to stabilize her transforming physiology, Admiral Chen found herself studying the German shepherd who had started this extraordinary chain of events. Max sat at perfect attention beside the containment field, his cybernetic collar still recording and analyzing everything around him. Tell me about Max, Dr. Kim said quietly, settling into a chair beside the Admiral. Admiral Chen's expression softened, revealing the person beneath the military facade. Max isn't just any K-9 unit. He's a hero of the Colonial Defense Force, retired after 7 years of active service in some of the most dangerous conflicts humanity has faced among the stars. She activated a secure display that showed Max's service record. Dr. Kim gasped at the list of commendations, battle honors, and successful missions. This wasn't just a military dog. This was a legend. His handler, Sergeant Rodriguez, called him the most intuitive combat partner he'd ever worked with. Admiral Chen continued. Max didn't just follow orders. He anticipated needs, made independent tactical decisions, and saved more human lives than most entire units. The display showed footage from Max's most famous operation, the rescue of 43 civilians from a mining colony under attack by hostile alien raiders. While human forces were pinned down by superior firepower, Max had navigated through enemy lines, located the trapped colonists, and guided them to safety through a route that no human scout could have detected. He's enhanced, obviously, Admiral Chen said, gesturing to Max's impressive size and the subtle technological modifications visible in his collar and harness. Genetic optimization for strength endurance and sensory capability. Cybernetic neural interfaces that allow him to process tactical data at superhuman speeds. But his most important enhancement isn't technological. What do you mean? Dr. Kim asked. Empathy amplification, Admiral Chen explained. The military psychologist discovered that the most effective K9 units weren't just intelligent or physically capable. They were the ones with the strongest emotional bonds to humanity. So they developed a process that enhanced natural canine loyalty and protective instincts. Max's ears perked up at the conversation, but he remained focused on Luna's containment field. His enhanced senses were monitoring her vital signs continuously, and his behavioral patterns indicated he had appointed himself as her personal guardian. Dr. Patel looked up from his analysis station. That's fascinating from a xenobiological perspective. Enhanced empathy could be exactly what we need for the coming tests. Explain, Admiral Chen said. Look at Luna's readings when Max is near the containment field versus when he moves away, Dr. Patel said, pointing to the displays. Her stress indicators drop significantly in his presence. The alien technology integrated into her biology recognizes him as a protective force. Admiral Chen studied the data with growing understanding. The architect's tests aren't just about military capability or technological adaptation. They're about moral character, about whether we can maintain our essential humanity while gaining the power to fight cosmic-level threats. Max's service record continued scrolling, revealing missions across a dozen different worlds. On Kepler 442b, he had detected poisonous atmospheric changes that would have killed an entire research team. On Proxima Centauri C, he had identified friendly alien civilians hiding from human forces who had mistaken them for hostiles. In the asteroid mining fields of the Wolf 359 system, he had somehow convinced a pack of hostile alien creatures to retreat, rather than attack human miners. In every case, Admiral Chen noted, Max found solutions that preserved life rather than destroying it. That's not standard military training, that's something deeper. Dr. Kim was studying Max with new appreciation. He's not just a military asset. He's a demonstration of humanity's capacity for genuine partnership with other species. Exactly, Admiral Chen said. And if the architects are really testing our moral character, having Max involved in our response could be crucial. As if responding to their conversation, Max rose and approached Admiral Chen. His cybernetic collar displayed a complex pattern of lights that she recognized as a request for secure communication access. He wants to contribute tactical analysis, she translated, connecting her command tablet to his collar's systems. The display filled with a three-dimensional strategic assessment that took Dr. Kim's breath away. Max had been continuously monitoring all available data about the approaching Architect test ships, cross-referencing their movement patterns with his extensive combat experience, and developing defensive scenarios that accounted for unknowns in ways that purely human or purely artificial intelligence couldn't match. This is remarkable, Dr. Patel said, studying Max's analysis. He's factoring in emotional and psychological variables that our computers can't quantify. Look at these projections for civilian behavior under stress. They're far more accurate than our standard models. Max's tactical assessment showed multiple scenarios for the coming tests, but every single one emphasized protection of non-combatants and preservation of life wherever possible. His enhanced empathy wasn't just making him a better guardian, it was making him a better strategist. Admiral, Dr. Kim said suddenly, what if that's the real test? Not whether we can fight, but whether we can fight while maintaining our compassion. Admiral Chen felt pieces of a vast puzzle clicking into place. The void hunters that Luna mentioned. If they consume entire civilizations, They might be species that lost their moral anchors when they gained cosmic power. The architects could be looking for allies who won't make the same mistake. On the examination table, Luna stirred again. Her glowing eyes opened and focused on Max with an expression of profound recognition. "The four-legged guardian," she said, her voice carrying harmonics that resonated with frequencies beyond human hearing. The architects have been watching him too. His kind represents something they thought was unique to their own species. "What's that?" Admiral Chen asked. "The ability to enhance intelligence and capability without losing the capacity for love," Luna replied. "Every other species they've encountered becomes more logical and less emotional as they evolve. But humans and their companion animals prove that wisdom and compassion can grow together." Max moved closer to Luna's containment field, and the energy patterns around her shifted into more harmonious frequencies. Whatever the alien technology had done to her, it recognized something in the enhanced dog that calmed and stabilized her transformed biology. "There's something else," Luna continued, her child's voice carrying adult understanding. "The first test won't be military. It will be moral. The architect ships will arrive carrying refugees, beings fleeing from void hunter attacks, species that have never encountered humans before, some of whom might be hostile or afraid." Admiral Chen felt a chill of understanding. "They want to see how we respond to displaced populations during a crisis." "More than that," Luna said. "They want to see if we can earn trust from beings who have every reason to fear advanced technology and military power. The refugees will include species that have been betrayed by their own guardians, civilizations that were abandoned when the fighting became too costly." Dr. Kim looked at Max, understanding dawning in her expression. That's where Max becomes crucial. He's living proof that enhanced beings can remain trustworthy. That power doesn't inevitably corrupt. Max's tail wagged once, a simple gesture that somehow conveyed absolute certainty about his role in the events to come. He had spent his entire career protecting beings who couldn't protect themselves, building bridges between species that might otherwise fear each other. "The tests begin in 5 days," Luna said, her voice growing distant again. "But the real challenge starts now. We need to prepare not just our defenses but our hearts. The architects are offering us a chance to become guardians of the galaxy, but only if we can prove we won't forget what we're guarding it for." As alarms began sounding throughout the medical center, indicating the arrival of the first architect probe ships at the edge of the Yao system, Max stood and walked to the viewing port. His enhanced vision could see farther into space than any human eye, and his expression suggested he was already preparing for the greatest mission of his remarkable career. The age of human isolation was ending, but with beings like Max to guide them, humanity might just prove worthy of the trust the architects were offering. News of the approaching architect ship spread through New Geneva's communication networks faster than any official announcement could have managed. Within hours of the first probe detection, every species in the colony was buzzing with rumors, speculation, and barely controlled panic. In the alien quarters, the Zentari elders called emergency council sessions, their compound eyes reflecting the stress patterns that indicated deep concern for their adopted human neighbors. The crystalline ethereals, beings of pure energy who existed in symbiosis with specially designed containment suits, began emitting harmonic frequencies that translated roughly to profound cosmic significance approaching. But it was in the human sectors where the most remarkable transformation was taking place. Admiral Chen stood in the colony's main command center, watching as reports flooded in from across New Geneva. Rather than the chaos and panic she had expected, something extraordinary was happening. Humans were organizing themselves with a speed and efficiency that impressed even their alien neighbors. "Admiral," called Commander Park from the communication station, "we're receiving volunteer registrations faster than our systems can process them. Engineering crews, medical personnel, teachers, shop owners, everyone wants to help." The main display showed a real-time map of volunteer coordination across the colony. Dr. Kim watched in amazement as neighborhoods that had been divided by economic and cultural differences suddenly began working together with unprecedented cooperation. "Look at Sector 12, Commander Park continued. The Chen family, that's where Max lives. They've turned their apartment complex into a coordination center for refugee assistance. They're organizing food, shelter, medical supplies, and translation services." Max's ears perked up at the mention of his adopted family. His cybernetic collar displayed a brief pattern of lights that Admiral Chen recognized as contentment mixed with pride. Even while maintaining his vigil over Luna, he was monitoring communications from his home. Dr. Patel looked up from his analysis station with an expression of scientific wonder. The sociological implications are fascinating. Faced with a cosmic-level challenge, humanity is displaying unprecedented social cohesion. It's as if the threat is activating some kind of species-level survival response. It's more than that, Luna said from her containment field, her voice carrying new harmonics as her transformation continued. The architects chose this moment carefully. Humanity is at a crossroads. You can become either guardians or conquerors. This test will determine which path you take. Admiral Chen studied the flood of data streaming across her displays. What exactly are we facing? How many refugee ships? Luna's glowing eyes became distant as she accessed information through her alien-enhanced consciousness. 47 ships carrying survivors from 14 different species. Some are familiar to humans, silicon-based miners from the Vega system, aquatic philosophers from Tau Ceti. Others have never encountered carbon-based life forms. The gravity of the situation settled over the command center like a heavy blanket. These weren't just refugees. They were representatives of civilizations that had already faced the Void Hunters and lost everything. There's something else, Luna continued, her child's voice carrying adult understanding of cosmic politics. 3 of the refugee species are traditionally hostile to each other. The architects deliberately included them in the same convoy to test whether humans can mediate conflicts between beings who have been enemies for millennia. Dr. Kim felt her heart sink. They want us to solve alien diplomatic crises while providing humanitarian aid to traumatized refugees? That seems impossible. Max stood and walked to the main display, studying the incoming ship trajectories with his enhanced tactical analysis capabilities. His cybernetic collar connected to the command systems, and suddenly the screen filled with his strategic assessment. He's right, Admiral Chen said, studying Max's projections. The challenge isn't impossible, it's complex. We need to approach this like a multi-species rescue operation rather than a traditional diplomatic mission. Max's analysis showed detailed breakdowns of each refugee species' physiological needs, cultural practices, and potential conflict triggers. But more importantly, it highlighted opportunities for positive interaction based on shared experiences of loss and displacement. According to his assessment, Admiral Chen continued, the key is to focus on practical cooperation rather than political reconciliation. Get them working together to solve immediate problems, and the larger conflicts become manageable. Commander Park's station lit up with incoming communications. Admiral, we're receiving offers of assistance from across the sector. Human colonies on 15 different worlds want to contribute resources. Even Earth is sending support ships. But the most remarkable development was happening on New Geneva itself. The main display showed live feeds from across the colony, revealing scenes that would have seemed impossible just days earlier. In the Zentari quarter, human engineers were working alongside insectoid technicians to construct modular housing units designed for multiple atmospheric requirements. The Zentari's natural ability to process complex spatial relationships was combining with human adaptability to create solutions neither species could have achieved alone. The ethereal collective had opened their meditation chambers to human volunteers, sharing their advanced emotional regulation techniques to help prepare counselors for traumatized refugees. In return, humans were teaching the energy beings about physical comfort concepts that could be translated into assistance for corporeal species. It's remarkable, Dr. Patel observed. Every species in the colony is contributing their unique capabilities to the humanitarian effort. The architects couldn't have designed a better test of interspecies cooperation. Luna's transformation was accelerating, her bioluminescent patterns becoming more complex as her physiology continued adapting to its new role. That's exactly what they designed, she said. The architects have been observing New Geneva for years. They chose this colony specifically because it represents humanity at its best. Diverse, adaptable, and committed to peaceful coexistence. Max's collar chimed softly, indicating an incoming priority message from his adopted family. The display showed David Chen, age 16, speaking directly to the camera with the passionate intensity that only teenagers could muster. Max, Buddy, we know you're doing important stuff at the hospital, but we wanted you to see what's happening here. The whole neighborhood is working together like I've never seen before. Mrs. Martinez from downstairs is teaching everyone basic first aid. Mr. Okafor is setting up communication networks for different atmospheric requirements. Even old Mr. Hendricks, who usually complains about everything, is organizing food distribution. The feed switched to show the apartment complex courtyard, which had been transformed into a bustling coordination center. Humans of all ages were working alongside their alien neighbors, preparing for the arrival of beings they had never encountered before. The kids especially want to help, David continued. We figure if refugees include families, their children might be scared and confused. So we're learning games and songs from different cultures to help them feel welcome. Max's tail wagged with unconcealed pride and affection. His enhanced empathy allowed him to feel the genuine compassion radiating from his human family and their neighbors. Admiral Chen smiled, despite the magnitude of the challenges ahead. The architects chose well. If they wanted to see humanity at its most resourceful and compassionate, New Geneva is definitely the right place. The first refugee ships will arrive in 36 hours, Luna announced, her voice now carrying harmonics that seemed to resonate with the station's communication systems. But Admiral, there's something the architects want you to know directly. What's that? Luna's expression became solemn. This test isn't just about proving humanity worthy of alliance. It's about proving you're worthy of the power they want to share. The technology they offer could transform your entire species, but only if you can demonstrate that you won't lose your essential nature in the process. Max approached Luna's containment field again, his enhanced senses detecting new energy patterns. Something was building toward a crucial moment, and his military training told him that the next few days would determine humanity's fate among the stars. The refugees aren't just survivors, Luna continued. They're witnesses. When the test is complete, they'll return to their scattered peoples and report what they experienced. Their testimony will influence how dozens of species view humanity for generations to come. Admiral Chen felt the weight of cosmic responsibility settling on her shoulders. But as she looked around the command center, at the dedicated humans working alongside alien colleagues, at Max's unwavering loyalty, at Luna's transformation from lost child to galactic bridge builder, she felt something else: hope. Humanity had faced impossible challenges before and found ways to not just survive, but to help others thrive in the process. The architect's test would be no different. The first refugee ship appeared at the edge of New Geneva's system like a wounded giant, its hull scarred by weapons that human technology couldn't identify. Admiral Chen watched from the command center as long-range sensors revealed the vessel's desperate condition. Massive sections blown away, emergency power barely maintaining life support, and distress signals broadcasting in 17 different languages. My God, whispered Commander Park. How many survivors are aboard that ship? The answer came through Luna's transformed consciousness as she interfaced directly with the architect monitoring systems. 4,300 beings from the Vorthon Collective, she announced, her voice carrying the weight of cosmic tragedy. Their homeworld was consumed by void hunters 6 months ago. This is all that remains of a civilization that once spanned 12 solar systems. Max's enhanced senses detected the emotional distress radiating from every human in the command center. His empathy amplification allowed him to feel their shock, fear, and determination as a physical force. These weren't just numbers. They were individuals who had lost everything and were now depending on humanity's compassion for survival. Dr. Kim arrived from the medical bay with her emergency response team. Admiral, we're ready to receive casualties, but we need to know what we're dealing with. Atmospheric requirements, biological needs, potential contamination risks. Luna's bioluminescent pattern shifted as she accessed information through her alien-enhanced neural networks. The Vorthons are silicon-based but require a complex mixture of noble gases for respiratory function. They're highly intelligent, but communicate primarily through subsonic vibrations that most humans can't detect without technological assistance. Can they tolerate our atmosphere temporarily? Dr. Kim asked. For short periods, but they'll need specialized environments within hours of arrival, Luna replied. And doctor, there's something else. Many of them are children, orphans whose families died defending their world. They're going to be terrified and traumatized beyond anything we've ever encountered. The weight of responsibility settled over the command center like a heavy gravity field. This wasn't just a humanitarian crisis, it was a test of everything humanity claimed to believe about. Protecting the innocent and helping those in need. Admiral Chen activated the colony-wide communication system. All citizens of New Geneva, we are about to face our greatest challenge as a community. The first refugee ship will dock in 4 hours, carrying survivors who have lost everything to an enemy we can barely comprehend. They need our help, our compassion, and our commitment to the principles that make us human. Across the colony, the response was immediate and overwhelming. The improvised coordination centers activated, volunteers reported to their assigned stations, and alien neighbors offered their unique capabilities to the rescue effort. But as the refugee ship approached the docking facility, complications began to emerge. "Admiral," called the sensor operator, "we're detecting multiple other vessels in pursuit of the refugee ship. 3 smaller craft, unknown configuration, broadcasting aggressive intent." Max's cybernetic collar immediately connected to the tactical systems, his military experience automatically analyzing the threat patterns. His assessment appeared on the main display. Hostile vessels, likely scavengers attempting to capture refugee ships for slavery or worse. "They're not void hunters," Luna said, her enhanced consciousness reading the energy signatures. "There's something almost as dangerous. Opportunists who prey on survivors fleeing the cosmic war. The architects included them deliberately to test whether humans will fight to protect strangers." Admiral Chen felt her military training clash with her humanitarian instincts. Engaging the hostile vessels would risk damage to the refugee ship and potentially trigger a larger conflict. But allowing predators to attack helpless survivors violated everything she had sworn to defend. "Battle stations," she ordered. "But remember, our primary mission is protecting those refugees, not destroying the attackers." The colonial defense ships launched from New Geneva's orbital platforms, sleek vessels designed more for rescue operations than combat. But they were crewed by humans who understood that some things were worth fighting for. Max's tactical analysis proved invaluable as the brief battle unfolded. His enhanced pattern recognition identified weaknesses in the scavenger ship's formations, allowing the human pilots to disable rather than destroy their opponents. Within 20 minutes, the hostile vessels were retreating, their crews faced with the unexpected reality that humanity would fight to protect strangers. "Well done," Admiral Chen said as the colonial ships escorted the refugee vessel to safety. "Now comes the real challenge." As the massive Vorthen ship docked with New Geneva's primary station, emergency teams stood ready with equipment they had never used before and protocols they had developed in a matter of hours. Dr. Kim led the medical response, while teams of translators, engineers, and counselors prepared to encounter beings unlike anything in their experience. The airlock cycled open, and the first Vorthen refugees emerged into human space. They were beautiful in an alien way, crystalline beings whose bodies reflected light in spectacular patterns, but whose movements spoke of exhaustion and trauma that transcended species barriers. The first to emerge was clearly elderly, her crystal formations dimmed by grief and physical damage from their escape. Max approached the airlock with his enhanced senses analyzing everything about the new arrivals. His empathy amplification allowed him to feel their fear, their desperation, and their cautious hope. Without being ordered, he positioned himself where the refugees could see him, a non-threatening presence that somehow conveyed protection and welcome. The elderly Vorthan noticed Max immediately. Her subsonic communications created vibrations that the dog's cybernetic collar translated into something resembling words. "Guardian beast, protector of small ones, known concept." Dr. Kim stepped forward carefully, her translator device active. "Welcome to New Geneva. We're here to help. You're safe now." The Vorthen elder's crystal formations brightened slightly, apparently a sign of cautious optimism. But then younger Vorthans began emerging from the ship, and the real challenge became apparent. The children were tiny crystal beings whose light had been dimmed by trauma. They clung to adults who weren't their parents, communicating in frequency ranges that spoke of pain too deep for words. Several were physically injured, their crystalline structures cracked in ways that suggested they might never fully heal. Max moved closer to the group of refugee children, his enhanced senses detecting their distress. Without any training in alien psychology, He somehow understood exactly what they needed. He lay down in front of them, making himself as non-threatening as possible, and began a low, gentle rumbling that his cybernetic systems translated into subsonic frequencies the young Vorthans could hear. The effect was immediate. The frightened children began moving toward Max, their crystal formations brightening as they recognized something familiar in his behavior, the universal language of a guardian watching over those in his care. "Remarkable," Dr. Patel whispered, monitoring the interaction through sensors. He somehow identified emotional frequencies that cross species barriers. Those children are responding to him as a protective figure. But the real test came when the second refugee ship arrived 6 hours later. This vessel carried survivors from the Hegemony Wars, a species called the Kethvar, who had been fighting the Vorthans. For over 3 centuries before the Void, hunters consumed both their civilizations. The two species had been locked in bitter conflict over stellar territories, with casualties numbering in the millions on both sides. Admiral Chen watched the tactical displays with growing concern as the situation became clear. The architects want us to provide sanctuary to both sides of an ancient war? While they're traumatized and desperate? Luna's transformation was accelerating under the stress of the situation, her bioluminescent patterns becoming so complex they resembled star charts. "This is the real test," she said. "Not whether humans can be compassionate to friends, but whether you can choose compassion over vengeance, understanding over ancient hatreds." The Kethvar ship docked at the opposite end of the station from the Vorthans, its crew radiating hostility and suspicion through every sensor reading. These were warrior survivors, beings who had lost everything to enemies they had been taught to hate since birth. As the Kethvar refugees emerged, tall, aggressive beings whose very posture spoke of violence barely contained, the Vorthan refugees detected their presence and began broadcasting subsonic warnings. Within minutes, the station's security teams were dealing with the very real possibility of warfare, breaking out between traumatized refugee populations in the middle of a humanitarian crisis. "Admiral," Commander Park called urgently, "we're reading energy buildups from both groups. If they start fighting in here, the collateral damage could be catastrophic." Max stood and approached Admiral Chen, his cybernetic collar displaying a complex tactical assessment. But this wasn't a military solution. It was something else entirely. "He wants to mediate," Admiral Chen realized, reading the patterns on his collar. "But how can a dog negotiate between alien species that have been enemies for centuries?" The moment of shared grief that Max created became the turning point in humanity's greatest test. As his mournful howl echoed through the station, something extraordinary happened. The Vorthon elder who had first emerged from their ship began harmonizing with his cry, her subsonic vibrations creating a crystal-clear note of profound loss. Then a Kethvar warrior joined in, his species' version of mourning, a deep, thrumming bass that spoke of worlds consumed and loved ones lost. Forever. Admiral Chen watched through the security monitors as enemies who had fought for centuries found themselves united in their shared experience of having lost everything to the Void Hunters. Max had somehow identified the universal language that transcended species barriers, the language of grief, and the recognition that some losses were too great for any one group to bear alone. "Admiral," Dr. Kim called from the medical bay, "we're receiving cooperation requests from both refugee groups. They want to work together to care for their wounded." The transformation was remarkable. Within hours, Vorthan crystal workers were collaborating with Kethvar metal shapers to create hybrid medical equipment that could treat both species' injuries. Children from both civilizations found themselves playing together in the station's recreation areas, their games transcending language barriers through the simple joy of beings too young to maintain ancient hatreds. Max became an unofficial ambassador between the groups, his enhanced empathy allowing him to detect and diffuse tensions before they could escalate. His presence seemed to remind everyone that protection and loyalty weren't concepts limited to one's own species. Luna's transformation reached a new phase as she witnessed humanity's response to the crisis. Her bioluminescent patterns became stable for the first time since her enhancement, creating a complex mandala of light that somehow conveyed cosmic approval. "The architects are pleased," she announced, her voice now carrying harmonics that the refugee translation systems could interpret. Humanity has demonstrated something they believed might be impossible: the ability to choose compassion over convenience, understanding over prejudice, even when facing beings who have never shown them kindness in return. Dr. Patel monitored Luna's vital signs with growing amazement. Her transformation isn't just biological anymore. She's becoming something like a living communication interface between humanity and the Architect Network. Admiral Chen studied the reports streaming in from across New Geneva. The response to the refugee crisis had transformed the colony in ways that went far beyond simple humanitarian aid. Humans were working alongside aliens to develop new technologies, share cultural knowledge, and create solutions to problems that had seemed insurmountable just days before. "Admiral," Commander Park called, "we're receiving a transmission from the edge of the system. Multiple vessels approaching, but these aren't refugees." The main display showed ships unlike anything in human databases, vessels that seemed to bend light around themselves, moving through space with a grace that suggested technology beyond current understanding. These were architect ships arriving to evaluate humanity's performance. Max's cybernetic collar connected to the station's sensor arrays, his enhanced pattern recognition analyzing the approaching vessels. His assessment displayed with typical canine directness. These were not threats but observers, beings who had traveled across the galaxy to witness something they had never seen before. The lead architect vessel established communication through Luna, her transformed physiology, allowing direct interface with their quantum-level communication systems. When the architect spoke through her, its voice carried the weight of eons. Species designation: human. You have been observed. Your response to our test scenario exceeds all projected parameters. Admiral Chen stepped forward, feeling the gravity of speaking for her entire species. We did what anyone should do when faced with suffering. We helped. Negative, the architect replied through Luna. Analysis of galactic database indicates 97% of species prioritize group survival over assistance to genetically unrelated beings. 74% of species exhibit increased aggression toward unknown lifeforms during crisis conditions. 0% of previously observed species demonstrate willingness to risk conflict to protect refugees while simultaneously mediating historical hostilities between survivor populations. Dr. Kim felt a surge of pride mixed with humility. We're not perfect. We make mistakes, we have conflicts among ourselves, but when innocent beings need help, we try to do what's right. Correctness assessment confirmed, the architect continued. Human species demonstrates unique capability, enhancement of technological and biological capacity, while maintaining essential protective instincts toward vulnerable populations. This trait combination is designated as guardian potential. Luna's transformation entered its final phase, her bioluminescent patterns creating a three-dimensional display that showed star charts spanning the galaxy. Hundreds of worlds were marked with symbols indicating civilizations under threat from the Void Hunters. The architects offer formal alliance, Luna translated, technology sharing, defensive coordination, joint guardian operations, but they also offer something more. The star charts shifted to show potential future timelines, possibilities where humanity's unique combination of technological advancement and stubborn compassion helped turn the tide against the cosmic darkness that was consuming civilizations across the galaxy. They want us to become teachers, Admiral Chen realized, to help other species learn how to maintain their essential nature while gaining the power needed to fight the Void Hunters. Max approached Luna's containment field one final time. The energy barriers were no longer necessary. Her transformation was complete, and she had achieved a stable hybrid state that bridged human consciousness with architect technology. As the field deactivated, she reached out to touch Max's enhanced collar, and for a moment, the two enhanced beings shared perfect understanding. The dog guardian will be essential to this mission, Luna said, her voice now carrying harmonics that every species present could understand. His empathy enhancement represents the evolutionary path that all guardian species must follow, the development of technology and capability that amplifies rather than replaces emotional connection to others. Admiral Chen looked around the command center at the incredible transformation that had taken place. Human and alien crew members were working together with unprecedented cooperation. Refugee children were playing games that taught them each other's languages. Scientists from different species were sharing discoveries that would benefit everyone. The test is complete, the architect announced through Luna. Humanity is approved for Guardian status. Technology transfer will begin immediately. Training protocols for cosmic-level defense operations will be established. Welcome to the Alliance of Protective Species. As celebration erupted throughout New Geneva, Max sat quietly beside Luna, his enhanced senses monitoring the joy and relief radiating from beings of dozens of different species. His tail wagged with deep satisfaction, not just because the crisis had passed, but because he had helped his human pack prove themselves worthy of the trust being placed in them. The refugee crisis that had started with a single dog carrying an injured girl through a storm had become humanity's introduction to its cosmic destiny. The architect's technology would transform human civilization, but the essential qualities that Max represented, loyalty, compassion, and the refusal to abandon those in need, would remain at the heart of everything they became. Dr. Kim knelt beside Max, scratching behind his ears in the simple gesture of affection that transcended all the cosmic significance of recent events. "Good boy," she said quietly. "Very good boy." Max's collar displayed a brief pattern of lights that everyone present understood without translation. Acknowledgement, contentment, and readiness for whatever challenges came next. In the weeks that followed, as human colonies across the galaxy began receiving architect technology and training for their new role as cosmic guardians, the story of Max and Luna became legend. Not because of the incredible technology involved, or the cosmic significance of first contact with the architects, but because it demonstrated something that every species in the galaxy could understand: the power of choosing compassion over convenience, protection over self-interest, and hope over despair. The universe was vast and dangerous, filled with threats that could consume entire civilizations, but it was also filled with beings willing to risk everything to protect those who couldn't protect themselves. And as long as that spirit survived, in humans, in their loyal companions, and in the alliance they were building, the darkness would never completely win. Max had carried more than an injured girl to safety that stormy night. He had carried humanity to its destiny among the stars.